Hello there, I'm Sam Anderson and I run Order Fulfillment Experts, and today I'm speaking to one of our very good customers, our key account customers, Luke Pearce from the Radical Tea Towel Company. And Luke, I have interviewed previously and we've talked about his incredible growth in his business and how he got there. And today we're going to be discussing something very different. We are really sort of talking about the aftermath of international orders from what happened when Brexit took place. So, and I know that Luke wants to make it very clear that this isn't professional advice, he's not an accountant, but I wanted you to really just say for yourself how you went through that process and the thoughts behind it and how it's helped and the sort of various options that were available at the time.
Sure. Well, thanks for that introduction, Sam, and thanks for the invitation to the channel as well. It's great to be here and share any advice that we may have. Yeah, I will just reiterate what you said, that I'm not an accountant and not necessarily the expert on this stuff, but I'm happy to share what we've done as a business in the post-Brexit environment. I suppose there's kind of two elements to this. One is the accounting side of things, and the kind of duties and everything that are involved with like shipping to the European Union, and then the other is other changes that we've made on our website to deal with international orders. I'll deal with the second thing first because it's easier, which is we just updated our FAQs and had a page dedicated to Brexit. Where we put information, and we just told customers, look, if you're ordering to the European Union, it's probably going to take a bit longer. And we kind of reassured them about the duties situation as well and said, look, we don't think you'll be paying any duties, but if you do, then please contact us. And then in certain cases, we were either giving full or partial refunds of the amount of the duties that a customer had been charged with in those early, like uncertain days when nobody was really sure what was happening. So, that was just a matter of keeping customers informed, really. I'll mention our international orders beyond Europe. Well, they weren't really affected, to be honest, by Brexit, other than, sometimes we get questions from people about whether Brexit would affect them. It doesn't. We don't source from within the European Union, for example, like our goods. Our goods are made in the UK and raw materials come from outside the European Union. So that wasn't a particular problem for us. So then the bit that involved the major work and was the biggest headache for us is, okay, well, how do we ensure that our customers don't get hit with tax charges when they're, if they're based in Europe and they're buying from us? And it seemed that customers were getting hit with two types of tax charge. One was VAT, or the sales tax equivalent for whatever European Union country they're in. And that seemed to be with kind of larger orders. Although larger could be anything more than like one small item, so it was quite a lot of orders. And then another charge they were being hit with was import duties. Now, in our case, like our customers shouldn't have been paying import duties at all, because for goods made within the European Union and made within Britain, then they're not subject to duties. That's the whole nature of like the Brexit agreement that was reached with the UK government. That was not meant to happen. But I think what was happening is in the early days, some of the carriers were just slapping on these duties because they couldn't be sure of like what the origin of the goods were. Over time, we had to have an AORI number on the packages. And information that said, actually, no, this has come from the UK and it was made in the UK, so shouldn't be subject to duties. And that problem seems to have gone away over time as the carriers, DHL and the like, have figured out what to do. The really tough one was VAT, because that's something that people had to pay. And what we wanted was a method that would allow us to pay the VAT on behalf of the customers beforehand, so that they then didn't get the admin and the friction involved in doing that, didn't shop on our site, only to then have to be faced with a VAT bill when receiving the product. And the easiest way to do that was to try and get on board with the European Union's new IOSS system that came in the middle, I think it was the middle of 2021, summer 2021, or maybe middle of 2020, 2021, I think. Wow. That is like a kind of pre-registration scheme, so that you don't have to register with all the different countries of the European Union. You register once and you get given a number which goes on the package, and that tells the the courier or whoever's delivering your package, they make a note of that number, and that means that the end customer doesn't then have to pay the VAT for you. And then what you do is you make a declaration once per quarter, just like you would with VAT in the UK, to pay all of that on behalf of your customers, having collected it as part of the sale price in the initial sale. Yeah. The easy side of that is that you don't have to register for all different countries in the European Union. The downside of it is that in order to register for it, you actually have to be based in the European Union, which obviously you're not if you're a British registered based company without any kind of base in the EU. So how do we get around that? Well, our accountant came up with a solution for that, which is that he linked up with an accountant firm in Ireland, in the Republic of Ireland. Obviously great because they speak English, understand us, and we kind of went over to them almost as like Brexit refugees and said, hey, can you submit this return on our behalf, essentially? And can you register on our behalf? And so they essentially did. And I'm not sure if that meant we were given a unique IOSS number or we register under their existing IOSS number. I think it might be the latter. And they essentially they pay the iOS duties on our behalf on a monthly. I think it's a monthly basis, not quarterly. Is it monthly or I can't remember. Maybe monthly. What we have to do for them is twofold. On the one hand, we pay them a fee, a monthly fee for providing this service for us. Fine. And the other thing is our accountant has to prepare, again, just like we would with the VAT, an Excel sheet that shows, okay, here's all the orders that we sent to the EU. Here's how much tax is due on all of those orders that we've calculated, which I think depends on the different country because there are different VAT rates depending on the country. Although it's always about 20%. Here's the sheet. So here's the data backing it up and here's how much we owe. And then we make a transfer to the accountancy of the amount of taxes that's owed to the iOS system and the accountant's fee that they get from us for each time that they do this. And so all the accountant has to do is literally just log in somewhere and pay the bill, knowing that they already have the supporting evidence. So that's how we have kind of involved ourselves with that system. It seems like it's something that might be repeatable for other small e-commerce businesses.
Yes, definitely. Now I get a lot of questions about this, which is why I thought you, having been through the process, it would be a really ideal thing for us to chat about it so that they know. And as I understand it, the customer is actually paying that up front at the point of sale.
Yes.
And therefore it's not an additional cost for you. It's just the fact that obviously you have to hold that money, not in escrow, but at least to one side so that it then goes back onto the to the sort of iOS proper taxation system services so that everything's sort of ducks in a row. Has it changed your strategy towards international sales? Have you had a think about, because I'll maybe just mention the fact that we've noticed that people have sort of gone full circle and maybe started to stock other fulfillment houses in other continents initially to overcome this issue, to then find that actually they are businesses in their own right in many respects and require just as much time and attention to try and get into that market and build that business up, and tying up a lot of stock in all those continents, and therefore they've actually then sort of thought perhaps we'll just bring it back to the UK now that we can use this system and this service has become much more reliable over time. We'll serve our international customers from our one sort of location. But yeah, interesting to see what your take is on that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, in terms of strategy, I would say it definitely. Having to go through this admin and realize the complexity definitely meant that we kind of paused some of our marketing to European Union customers. We didn't push it as much as we might have done otherwise. So I think we're at the stage now where we do need to give a renewed focus to that now that we've sorted out some of the basic logistics. There are still some problems, by the way. I think it seems to be in particular, ironically, with the Republic of Ireland, where we seem to get duties charges levied on customers, but that seems to be something to do with the Irish postal system that they're not happy with. Some countries seem to apply assumptions about your goods way more forcefully than others. I don't know why. So yeah, I'd say we've marketed less to European customers. European customers were never a big portion of our initial pie anyway. in terms of customer locations. If your business is doing a lot of business with Europe, I can imagine then it would make more sense to have that separate fulfillment location and hub in Europe. But if, it really depends on the percentages. There are a lot of extra commitments involved in that. We thought about that. Okay, does it make sense for us to have a warehouse in Europe simply because of an accounting difficulty or because of an administrative difficulty? For us, European customers are 4 or 5% of total orders. For us, that was not big enough to justify that, at least at the moment. At least until we can be confident that we can really grow the proportion of European customers that we have, which we're not yet. Not saying we wouldn't try that in future, but at the moment it just made sense to kind of keep things coming from our initial location and just do whatever we could, even if that involves a little bit of extra accounting fees or what have you. In terms of having that like separate fulfillment location, like we had an interesting comparison in that sense, in that we have a separate fulfillment location for North American customers serving US and Canadian customers, who are a much bigger proportion of people that we sell to. So we are aware of some of the difficulties, the admin and the costs involved with having that separate location. Which I think is one of the things that put us off the idea of going it alone in Europe as a separate thing, because immediately, if you've got a separate location with separate stock, you've got extra storage charges, you've got potentially additional accounting obligations and administration and management processes, and in our case, a different website as well that you need to all have set up for dealing with that. Not saying that it's not a wise idea. In certain circumstances it may well be, but it depends on how focused you are on growing that particular portion of your market, what you think the real potential is there for you to grow customers. It's a tricky environment right now in e-commerce, and a lot of businesses are kind of consolidating and focus on how do we increase profitability, and how do we grow our home markets, because suddenly the landscape has changed in the kind of post-pandemic world. That means it's become a lot harder to grow an e-commerce business, I would say. I would, for us, we were wary about launching a new European venture in that climate.
Yes, no, and it makes perfect sense. And as you say, it's really good to have that insight in terms of what you're doing over in the States for that market and over in Canada. I, in fact, as you know, spoke to them only a couple of days ago, and they're a fantastic outfit. And so if anyone needs help or pointing in the right direction for that area of the world, then I'm sure we can help with that as well. But I think there's quite a lot there already, Luke, and I really thank you so much. Every time I ask you if you don't mind doing something like this, you always are very willing and happy to oblige, and you're so eloquent and put it in such a concise way as well. So I really appreciate all your help, and thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. Pleasure, Sam. And I hope your other customers get some insights and are able to grow their businesses and move forward as a result.
Thank you.